Hi everyone, you're very welcome to this week's episode of Parleo Positive Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click the notifications bell so you don't miss any future videos and updates. If you're enjoying the podcast and would like to help towards running costs, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Eric and Aga from Be Kind Apparel. They're a family-run leisure clothing brand based here in Cork, with a very important message that is different to a lot of clothing brands. So guys, thanks very much for coming on the show today. It's much appreciated.
Thanks very much for having us, Paddy. Delighted to be here.
As Polonius said in Hamlet, the apparel off proclaims the man. And having sat across the way from Eric for about 2 years in a previous job, I can very much attest to that he is a very kind guy, and it speaks volumes about you as a person with the idea you have there. And obviously Aga, behind every good man is a great woman, so you've obviously teamed up together, so fair play. And we're just going to have a chat there today just about the idea you have, and I suppose the products, and I suppose what the service you're offering essentially. Okay, so before we get stuck into the usual, cheers and good health and happy Christmas. Aga's got the Be Kind mug there. I still have clap.
I was going to have a Man United mug, Paddy, but I thought that might be controversial, so.
Yeah, Man United fans are not allowed on the podcast just yet. Until now. So, guys, I suppose just to give a bit of background for both of you, do you mind just tell us a bit about yourselves for those who don't know you, who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, so my name is Aga and I'm originally from Poland, but I've been here about 16 and a half years now. So it feels like most of my life has been lived in Ireland. I went to UL, I did psychology and sociology, and then for my master's I did sociology. At the moment I'm working as an administration person, and yeah, with my husband Eric, we have Be Kind Apparel.
I've been in Cork for 16 years as well, so that's another thing we have in common there. So
exactly.
Eric, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Eric. So I worked with Padraig in a previous job. I suppose my own background, I'm from Cork, born and bred my whole life. Grew up in Montenotte, I'd say, for the first 10 years of my life. Then we moved down to Glanmire, which was like moving to a different country, totally different lingo. I'd grown up with lads in Mayfield and
Mayfield East, is it?
Well, there you go. Yeah, it was just a complete culture shock coming out to Glanmire. But so in Cork my whole life, studied in UCC, so studied arts like lots of people. A clear sign I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do in my life. Still probably don't actually. And yeah, I ended up working in an organisation with yourself, Paddy. Before that, I worked as a youth worker for a couple of years, and I now currently work with the HSE's mental health teams. I'm employed by Employability Service in Cork, which look after people with disabilities and support them to source employment, but I specifically work with HSE's mental health teams. And yeah, I suppose a couple of years ago we had an idea, and I suppose it's only come to fruition there in the last number of months to set up a company along with Aga and my brother, who you know, to set up Be Kind Apparel. So that's kind of where we're at now.
Very good. I also studied arts briefly in UCC as well, so that's another link there in the three of us.
I think lots of people have studied arts briefly and decided it mightn't be for them, but you're not alone there.
You stuck it out.
There you go, one of the survivors.
So, how did you meet, guys? How did you get together?
So we met online. I suppose the majority of people meet online in the recent years anyway, I suppose. But we met in 2017, so it was actually our 5-year anniversary there last month. Yeah, on Plenty of Fish, Eric just messaged me, and I suppose the rest was history.
I thought it was you that messaged me, no?
No.
That's how I tell it anyway.
But yeah, he messaged me and we were messaging back and forth for about a month, I think, before we met in real life. And we met on a Sunday, and ever since then we saw each other every weekend. So yeah.
What month in 2017 was this?
It was October.
Yeah, because I remember I would have been working with Eric at the time.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He's going Gaga for Aga.
I love it.
No, I remember, because I remember like you always kind of say you're going on to Mallow. Wasn't it?
Oh,
Mallow?
Yeah, geez, you've some
Yeah.
you've some memory, mate.
Mallow time, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great that, you know, suppose it doesn't always work for everyone, the whole online thing, but I suppose you
Yeah,
kind
no,
of you
nothing
can
but good things to say.
yeah, I think kind of you can get an insight into someone's personality when you chat to them over a long period of time, as opposed to
I
just
think so.
meeting them in a
Yeah,
pub where drink is consumed and
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah,
beer goggles come into play and all
that's
that.
it.
You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus,
So
you feel like you kind of almost have some sort of a relationship with that person already because you would have texted for a while, so you know what they're like, they know what you're like. So when you meet in person, hopefully it's less awkward, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
So long as there's not a catfish involved, because I'm sure
that's
Yeah.
it,
that's happened
exactly.
before, yeah. But it's all worked out for the best, and here we are now together as a team, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
works
Yes.
out very well.
The Be Kind idea, where did that come from? Do you want to maybe give it a background as to why you decided to set up the company?
Yeah, so it was actually, I suppose, like a lot of businesses, it came out of COVID. Certainly, kind of recent businesses, the ideas come from maybe sitting around, having a lot of time on your hands. Um, Even though it was such a desperate time for so many people, I was sitting down with Greg, my brother, who you know well, one evening, and I suppose we kind of noticed how genuinely kind people were, especially in a time of crisis. People were going out of their way for their neighbours, for friends, for family, but actually for strangers, it was a real eye opener. And we kind of thought there must be a way to bottle this when the pandemic is over, because this basic decency, genuine care for other people is obviously there, but sometimes it can be hard to see it. You know, the world can be a tough place at times. Um, and so we thought, you know, is there a way that we can kind of keep this message going when COVID was long behind us? And I suppose we were inspired by a couple of brands up the country who do something quite similar, but they'd have a specific angle. It might be about sustainability. It might be about mental health specifically. We wanted it to be really, really broad, which was just basically if you cared about the experience of other people and you wanted to make life a little bit easier for everyone around you, could we potentially have a message carried on a piece of clothing that would create visibility for people to know that there's kindness all around them all of the time? And so the idea is that people wear the brand, but not only that, they actually look for opportunities to do good things for other people, whether that's letting someone skip past you, a single parent in the supermarket queue, you know, the kids screaming, they need to get through the supermarket queue, let them go by you if you can, you know, letting people out at junctions, going to work in the morning, we're all busy, we're all in a rush. If you can do it, do it. Asking people how their day is going, saying hi to people, which I think Irish people are quite good at. We tend to smile and we're quite friendly, but you never know what's going on for someone. So these small little things, these small little acts of kindness, we think can make a huge difference. And then the clothing brand is supposed to carry that message. So that's kind of the origins of the whole thing.
I remember a couple of years ago when Caroline Flack died, there was a huge outpouring on social media of be kind and be mindful of what you say. But within a few weeks, social media just goes back to the way it was beforehand,
Yeah,
not worse.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of it's getting the consistency right, isn't it? Like, you know, just to get the consistent message out there that how you speak to people, how you are to people, it really has a knock-on effect. And it's like
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like a lot of the time when stuff's happening online, people are hidden. People would write comments to people they haven't met at all before, so they know nothing about them. And they're almost say things you'd never say to someone if you met them in real life, face to face. People are hidden behind the screen. They feel a bit braver, maybe a bit untouchable almost, you know. And I think there was a case with Ian Wright. I think that footballer, he actually brought someone to court over comments that were made about him online. So I suppose we see now more and more that, you know, it's not harmless leaving comments like that. And you just never know what someone is going through. Like people that put stuff up online, you see a picture or two that were taken within like 5 minutes of their day. You don't know what the rest of their day was like. You don't know there might be some other struggles that they're going through. They just don't want to show it online. So I suppose it's just the message of being kind is just so simple, but it seems like sometimes like it's quite hard to see it around us, you know. And like you said with Caroline Flack's passing, there was a movement to be kind hashtags you know, everything that, but like you said, after a few weeks, it kind of died down and people almost went back to normal. And I don't know, I think it's so important to maybe have the message of being kind just visible, you know, not just like know that it's there, but if you actually see it on a piece of clothing, if you just see it on a billboard or something, that might make you actually stop and think, you know, yeah, like we should be more kind.
It's important, as I said, it's important just to keep that consistency going.
Yeah.
And as you said, another key thing about being kind, that it doesn't cost much. You wouldn't be writing into your monthly budget, like, you know.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, like, I suppose I've always had an interest in sort of mental health and I suppose the well-being of others. And, based in sort of, we're working together previously, we would have supported people to source employment and things like that. And you get to meet people and you hear their stories, and that's kind of one of the enjoyable things about working with people. But what you realize is there's just a crying need for people just to be a little bit more conscious of another person's experience, and it is really the simple things. It's asking people how their day is going and actually taking the time to listen to what they tell you, or smiling at someone as you walk by them. These really, really simple things. Certainly in the work that I do with the HSC's mental health teams, loneliness is the single biggest thing I think we come across. If you could give everyone almost a best friend, I think you'd solve a huge amount of problems. And that's not to be too simplistic, but loneliness is often the root of so many struggles that we all have. And simple acts of kindness can make people feel more connected, and that's really what the brand is supposed to be about. It's supposed to just create some awareness of this very, very simple idea, but it can have a profound impact on people.
I suppose in the job that we worked in together, as you said, there were loads of different experiences, as you said, people with different backgrounds, different reasons for coming into us. With the way in which we communicated, and I think we were both similar in how we communicated the message, but the way we communicated the message, it generally came from a very kind place and trying to do the best for them, and people appreciated that. And I suppose there may have been other people in the office who may not have had such a similar approach to us, and it just didn't work. Like,
no, and I think, look, it comes back to that fundamental point that, especially if you're a service provider, there's an immediate power dynamic between you and the person you're looking after. So someone comes in, they're a service user, a lot of the time, and I'd experienced this in my day-to-day work, there's a sense of, well, I'm the service provider, so I have a certain sort of, let's say, power when I'm sitting in the room with someone, and then they're the person that's receiving a service, and often that can be quite difficult for someone. So again, just approaching people with basic kindness, decency, because I walk out and I go and see the doctor. I know that power dynamic shifts. Now I'm the patient and I'm sitting in front of a professional, and yeah, it's just basic sort of looking after people and being considerate of what other people are going through and what they might experience. Like I said, very, very simple things, but stuff that actually, if we don't think about it, we might not necessarily do. And they're easy things to do, like you said, doesn't cost anything. But maybe it just costs us being a little bit more aware of it and actually prioritizing it. So, I mean, as crazy as it might seem, when I'm out and about now, I'm actually actively looking for opportunities to try and help someone out. I'm actually looking around me, and that's purely just because it's on my mind now. It's something I think about, and I just think, Jesus, if we could all do a little bit more of that, the cumulative effect of that can make such a difference to people. Because I mean, I know I said it already, but life is tough. I mean, it is. It's a cliche for a reason, and actually make it a little bit easier for everyone, because today I might be trying to help someone out, but tomorrow I'm the guy who needs a bit of help. I need someone to ask me how my day is going, or I need someone to help me get through the queue in the supermarket because I'm stressed out and I'm running home to the family, or whatever might be going on, So kind of like this idea of paying it forward, it makes a huge difference to everyone.
Reminds me there of the Guinness ad for the hurling championship back in the 90s. Nobody said it was going to be easy,
There you go. Yeah.
Could you maybe give us an idea of kind of the initiatives you're supporting at the moment, or the work you're doing leading on from that?
Yeah, so very recently, actually, it just ended a few days ago, but we had a Christmas toy appeal with Little Glenmire, which was a fabulous thing to be a part of, and to, involve I suppose a company like Lidl that's obviously nationwide. And it was just great to have the community come together and just organizing all of it, and knowing that, what we do, setting up the stand in Lidl and collecting the toys and advertising that's going to go further, that's going to help families this Christmas. And we'd love to make this an annual thing. We'd love every year to be able to do something. And I know we've been doing the toy appeal this year, and we might do it for, as many years as we can, but, there probably will be other things that might come up as well that we might want to do, I suppose. It's just great to be involved in the community, and yeah, just paying it forward. It's not even that, like, you're doing a good thing, and you know that so many families will benefit from it, but it does feel good on a personal level as well. Knowing that you are a part of something that is now going to improve someone's Christmas, it's nice, and it's great that we could have a community of us here in Glenmire come together. So I think that was really important to us.
Yeah, Patrick, I think what's really important for us is, like, it would have been really easy for us to get some apparel from somewhere, source a supplier, and throw an old kindness logo on it, and start telling everyone to be kind to one another and sort of kumbaya, what's really important to us is that we're practicing what we preach, and what we encourage other people to do. It's really important to us that we do it as well. So the brand is really just a vehicle for encouraging everyone to be kinder to one another, and that includes ourselves. So I mean, like Aga's spoken about the toy appeal there. It's funny as well, because you start off with, so we came up with this idea of a Christmas toy appeal, which obviously isn't a new idea, but we got Lidl on board very quickly. And
just to clarify, it's not from Ann Summers.
It's not, yeah. Thanks for that clarification, Padraig. But I mean, so they got on board very quickly. But then what happened was there was a ripple effect. So not only did we get toys to kids all over Cork this Christmas, we ended up with food being donated to Cork Penny Dinners. And we linked in with some of the other toy appeals going on in Glenmire and supported them as well. So it's just one of these things, when you start doing something, you never know where it's going to lead. And actually, the ripple impact on a few different organizations actually was fantastic. We also give 5% of any profits, which admittedly isn't much so far. We give it away to, we give it away to local charities. So we've made donations to Bernardo's, the Simon community, and we've big plans as well to try and generate as much sort of fundraising for those charities as well, as we go forward, But always thinking about ideas, always coming up with little angles to try and support different initiatives and things. So yeah, probably watch this space really over the next sort of 6 months. Next year, definitely big plans.
And another thing that you're big on is making sure that where you get your materials from are produced ethically as well. Do you maybe want to go into a bit of detail on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose that this comes back to the idea of, I mean, it's really easy to source some apparel and put a logo on it. Like, anyone can do that. So when we had the idea and we thought a clothing brand was a good way to get our message across, it was really important then that you can't put Be Kind on a hoodie that's made in a sweatshop somewhere. Like, you just couldn't stand over that. Don't want to be a part of that. No interest in anything like that. So it was quite a long process to try to talk to suppliers, figure out where they get their stuff from, learned all about the certifications that follow different garments and where they're produced and things. So everything that we now stock on the website is Fair Wear certified, which is an international standard for ethics within production and manufacturing facilities. That's sort of gold standard for us. We won't waver from that. We need to make sure that the people who make the product are working in reasonable conditions, have good terms, are happy at work, and that we can kind of stand over it with those certifications. And the other thing is that we didn't want the brands to be doing any damage to the environment. So our clothing is as sustainable as you can almost possibly get a piece of clothing that's been manufactured. That comes at a cost for us, which is why some of the products are, we think they're good value, and I think they'd stand up against lots of other brands. But what you pay for is what you get. You know it's coming from a really good place. You know it's sustainable, and I think that that kind of aligns well with the Be Kind. So it's also being kind to the planet. It's being kind to the people who make the product, and then it's encouraging us all to be kind to one another. So that was really, really important for us.
Good. And there is some great stuff on your site there. A nice addition for the winter period is the beanie hats, especially with the weather conditions at the moment. I could have done with one of them during the week now, But
yeah, I think we're the only people in the country that are hoping the cold weather sticks around for another few weeks.
So there's some great stuff, great t-shirts, hoodies. You're a very stylish couple. You models the stuff as well, so that's great. So guys, could you maybe give a bit of insight into the products you have available for sale at the moment?
Yeah, so we have a range of sweatshirts and hoodies and t-shirts, as well as beanies now that have come the last few weeks. So we have 3 colors in the hoodies. So we have the sunshine yellow, which I'm wearing at the moment. We have a mint green, and we also have an off-white hoodie. For sweatshirts, we have 2 types of sweatshirts. We have the premium sweatshirt, which comes in 3 colors as well. So we have the bubblegum pink, we have the black, and we also have a sky blue. And the new sweatshirts, they come in 2 colors, and they're called the freestyle sweatshirt, and they come in burgundy and light gray. And the freestyle sweatshirt is just a little bit more lightweight, more breathable, and it offers just a bit more variety for people to choose from in different colors. And for the t-shirts, we also have 3 colors, so there's almost a theme going here. So we have a green t-shirt, we have a lavender t-shirt, and sandstone beige. We also have beanies. So we have 4 colors of beanies available, and the Be Kind logo is hand stitched on them, and it's made from vegan leather, so everything is organic. The beanies are 100% organic. They come in 4 colors, so we have burgundy, navy, gray, and green. And also coming soon, we're going to have kids t-shirts, so they will be available in 3 colors with our Be Kind logo, but in fun colors. So yeah, we're excited to launch that hopefully very soon.
Very good. Reminds me of burgundy there, Anchorman, and wearing similar
Yeah.
Anchorman.
Absolutely.
To grow the moustache a bit.
Yeah. And just to clarify, BK is not Burger King, so.
Just in case, exactly, yeah.
Actually, we might approach Burger King.
You never know, yeah.
How bad.
BKs can join forces. Great. I was just going to have a chat with you now, Eric, just about where you're working at the minute, because employability. You might have seen my interview with Gary Skyner. He's a comedian who was a victim of thalidomide, and I suppose he was disabled. And I suppose he's a bit different, maybe, to a large percentage of disabled people, as in he managed to find work easily enough throughout his life. But he's one of the lucky ones, and it was on your case, so you probably do have people who have certain challenges and they're not being given a break. Can you maybe just go through the challenges involved in working with that every day?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I did watch that podcast, and I think in Gary's case, he's got an infectious personality, which is probably what's allowed him to be successful. He's a larger than life character, and that's probably served him quite well. I suppose broadly, yeah, I suppose the work I currently do with employability, and then I suppose kind of almost subcontracted out to work with the HSE's mental health teams, is specifically working with individuals who've had some challenges with their mental health, and to try and support them to figure out what they want to do career-wise, employment-wise, and then try and get employers on board to sort of create opportunities for these people. It's challenging because there's a mix of things. Sometimes it's hard to get employers on board.
I was just going to say, on LinkedIn, I see you there fighting the good fight, you're batting for them. You're directly asking the question to employers, you're putting them in a position where they have to answer, or if they're not, it looks bad if they don't. So fair play to that. Like you're working hard, you're grafting away there, like on LinkedIn, you know.
Absolutely. And look, Padraig, no more like yourself. I suppose if you're working with someone and you want to help create an opportunity and you're passionate about what you're doing, then there's no one I won't ask the question of, you know. And there's some amazing companies, you know, that I work with in Cork that you know, are willing to give an opportunity to people and are willing to look past maybe a lack of qualifications or gaps on CVs and things like that. And look, I think more and more organizations are thinking about their own sort of mental health strategies and protocols within their own environments. And I suppose now when we come along and we talk about the work that we're doing to try and create opportunities for people, I think most companies now are a lot more open-minded. You still have, you know, maybe some other organizations maybe that aren't quite as far along, but then that's up to us to get out there and sort of bang the drum. And like I work with amazing people, phenomenal people, who are not, you know, they're not, you know, they're not defined by their disability in any way whatsoever. It's a part of their story, but it's certainly not the defining factor in their story. Of people working successfully all across the county, and that's down to them. That's down to their desire, their level of motivation, their commitment, their willingness to put themselves out there. Unbelievable people, and I'm just constantly banging the drum to employers to say, listen, I have an unbelievable pool of people who have all the values that any employer should look for. And it's you know, from their perspective, it's free recruitment. I look after it, yeah. I'll find the right people. I'll try and match them to our organization's values. Try and make sure that they're comfortable doing the job, and we'll support them to do that. But it's really rewarding, and you know this yourself with the work that you do. At the end of the day, it's about trying to create opportunities for people, and you know, there's something really satisfying about that. And when you see people coming back, and you know, they've taken the first step in their career, or they're coming back to you saying they've got a promotion, or you know, that's incredible. Like, you know, it's work that's really worth doing.
I got a Christmas card in the post from an ex-client of mine who rolled off program in March. And 9 months later, like, you know, that's kind of a sign of the difference, you know, that people can make. Not just me personally, like when Zane's obviously the support she got over the year from the company I work for, it's stuck in her head, like, you know.
I seem to remember you having a lot of cards displayed on your desk. I think the rest of us used to look on enviously. There wasn't so many on my.
I don't know about that. No, you were very well liked, Derek, by people as well. Like,
I suppose, Padraig, the other thing to say on that is, like, I work with an unbelievable team of people within employability, but also in the HSE, and you know, genuinely, these people care so much about the progress of other people. You know, they'll go above and beyond, sometimes, you know, way outside of the scope of their job to try and make sure that people are supported, that they have someone to talk to, that, you know, when they take on a new challenge, that they feel the weight of the team behind them. So, like, there's some unbelievable people, lots of different professionals, occupational therapists, family counsellors, psychology, amazing people doing amazing work. And I know sometimes, you know, don't get me wrong, like, there's not enough services available to people who are, you know, experiencing issues with their mental health, but the people that are actually doing the work are unbelievably dedicated. And it's so much more than a job to these people. It's a vocation, you know.
There's a sense of satisfaction from getting a result in the job we do that you can't really get in a job that pays 100 grand a year plus. Like, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what I always think, I'd always ask the question, and I say this to people that I work with: if your alarm clock's gone off at 6:30 in the morning, or you know, whatever time it's gone off at, is what you're getting up to do that day worth doing, you know? And definitely one way of measuring that is what kind of impact does it have on other people and other people's lives. And I think what you're getting at there is that definitely that kind of work, it can be really, really difficult. And there's some days where you think, geez, we're just going around in circles here. But when you have a positive outcome and someone's life is actually progressing in some way, that's what it's all about. Otherwise, you'd never do it. Not a hope.
And just in case anyone in either or payroll companies are listening, neither of us will say no to 100 grand a year if you did want to pay.
Well, yes, yeah, I'll second that for sure.
But there is a satisfaction. It's unique when you're helping people better themselves and move on that you don't get in you don't get it signing multi-millionaire contracts, selling BMWs or whatever, you know, kind of.
No.
It's
It's a different satisfaction. And,
different satisfaction.
you know, I'm sure that could be satisfying as well. I can see a situation where that would be nice as well, though, Paddy, you know.
Of
So,
course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you're getting 10% commission, like. But,
There you go.
Could you maybe give a couple of examples of a couple of success stories you had in employability, maybe with people with certain challenges you helped move into the right job?
Yeah, I have to be careful here now in terms of not kind of giving away too much information, but I mean, I've had people who were, I'll speak really broadly because I just have to be very careful.
Of course, confidentiality is very important.
I've had a few people who would have been working in sort of, let's say, what you might classify as a highbrow industry, so earning really good income, would have had a certain status, let's say, in that industry, and would have experienced some trauma in their lives that kind of comes to the surface, and now they've sought the support of the mental health services. And you know, there's been a few times where I wouldn't have known what to expect from someone who was working at such a high level. And so, I mean, I can think of one particular case where this individual was out of work. They'd been signed off work for a period of time. And my suggestion to them was that they get a job working in a retail environment, which would have been a huge, huge drop from what they would have been used to. I thought they were going to look at me like I had two heads. But they didn't. I explained the rationale, which was about linking them back into their community, helping them to build their confidence. I think they might have been missing that kind of person-to-person connection as well in their previous role. And I think that was just really important for the individual as a whole, as opposed to just thinking about their career. And so, you know, we went out and we tried to source an opportunity, had a really good chat with an employer who was willing to take the individual on. The employer asked the same kind of questions that any employer would ask, which is, you know, this person's been working at, you know, really high level. Why are they looking at working in a retail environment? But again, I would have explained the rationale. It's more about the personal and social development of the individual. The person worked there successfully for about a year. Confidence grew massively. Social connection, the individual managed to build up with people in their community, had a real sense of place, purpose, and that proved a really, really important stepping stone to moving on back into their career and back up to a very, very high level. That person would have been supported by any number of professionals within the mental health services, from sort of psychological support, key workers, family support, a whole bunch of different interventions, psychology as well. But this person had to be willing to say, listen, I am where I am. I need to think about what's important for me, not just my career, but my overall development. They were willing to go back into a retail environment, found themselves again, found a spark, received support from the team, and then they were able to move back into a role that suited maybe their skill set and their qualifications a bit better. So that's just one example of I suppose what can happen when the right support is provided to people. But most importantly, that individual was willing to do something that might have seemed a bit mad at the start, you know, and that's often the difference.
It's not a philosophy that I've always stuck to, but sometimes you need to take a step back in order to go forward, you know, and obviously that was very relevant to that person, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Would you have any examples of people you helped get work who had like Down syndrome or really bad learning difficulties or anything like that? You could, or is that?
Not Down syndrome specifically. I mean, I've had people who couldn't get through a job interview without having a panic attack, would struggle to walk in the door of a place. But again, you would have provided a huge amount of support from the team, a lot of psychological support, and the big thing would be the employer. So like we work really, really hard with employers to make sure that that they really understand where the individual is coming from, that it's not transactional. It's not, I've a job to fill, here's a candidate. It's never like that. It's more, you know, this person has a particular story, they're coming from a particular background, we need to support them, here's what the support looks like. And then when you get an employer to buy into that, you can help so many people who might think that they were never going to work again, provided they have the right support and the right environment to set up for them, you know. My colleagues in employability would work specifically with maybe some more kind of challenging disabilities, whether it would be intellectual disability or it might be kind of physical disabilities with kind of hearing or sight loss and things like that. And I know they've had huge success as well, you know. So, yeah.
So to come on program, people have to be on disability allowance, do they?
No, they don't. So the way it works is that someone would often be referred by a GP maybe to the service, or else someone would be suffering with such an acute difficulty with their mental health, they would be admitted to the mental health unit in Cork University Hospital. And then I work on a specific team that deals specifically with psychosis. So this would be delusional beliefs, paranoid thinking, that kind of thing. And then, if appropriate, they'd be referred on to the service that I work in.
So if someone wanted to be referred to yourselves employability, Eric, how would they go about it?
So because employability deals specifically with individuals who would be described as having a disability, then the first port of call would be to go to the Department of Social Protection, ask to meet with a case officer because you want some support around your career goals, your employment goals, and then a case officer will make a referral to employability. And then they'd be picked up by a job coach who will work one-to-one with them, can often see people once or twice a week, can meet them out in the community, and will provide a dedicated employment support service to this person. So first port of call, Department of Social Protection, have a conversation with them, and then hopefully a referral can be made.
Great stuff. You obviously do a lot of inspiring work, so fair play and keep up the good work on that. It was actually coincidental how the seed for this podcast was planted. Was we both had our Christmas party in our respective companies in the same place last Friday night in the Mardyke. Eric was rocking it in the karaoke there, and
it was meant to be.
Mardyke. So here we are 8 days later doing it. It was funny, I suppose, just to show you some other past memories there. That I used to sit across the way from Eric. I used to have him plagued by calling him Father Frost and Father Ted, his character, Damo, and Jack as well. For obvious
That's true, yeah. You're not a huge fan of Father Ted, yeah?
I'm not, no. We've tried on numerous occasions to watch the episodes together, and Eric next to me would be laughing away, and I'm always looking at him with question marks above my head.
Do you think it's disrespectful to Catholicism, or you just don't find it funny?
I just think I don't find it funny. I don't know. Like some episodes maybe are okay, like the Eurovision one, or Down with That sort of thing. That one is funny. But I don't know, I think it's just different. Like I think I have a very different sense of humor to Eric. I might show him a video of something or just a picture that I think is really funny, and he looks at me like I fight head.
Straight over my head most of it.
And then it might be the same the other way around. He might show me something, and I'm looking at him like, that's not funny. So I think it's just different senses of humor.
Opposites attract, though, you know. So
that's it, exactly.
I don't know. I think Father Ted is it a particular type of humor or something? I don't know. Is it a very Irish thing or something?
It's very Irish.
Yeah, I think
Irish
you have to grow up with it.
There you go. Yeah. But like, I think it's one of the greatest shows ever made. Like, but
yeah. But I grew up in a house where it was very much frowned upon to watch because my parents were quite religious and they felt it was disrespectful and making a mockery of the Catholic Church. But
so you rallied against it, so.
I remember going over to my grandfather's to watch, and he was laughing his head off.
So I was the grandparents.
Yeah. So, what's the future hold for you guys? What's your goals for the short term, long term? Would you say as a business?
I suppose in the short term, it's just to keep establishing a foothold in Cork and then actually nationally as well. So I think having lots of conversations with people in Cork who seem to have heard of the brand, which is amazing, and you get some lovely messages from people. So we've heard stories of parents getting a present for the kids who are going off to college, and they might give them a present of a Be Kind sweatshirt. So it's pretty cool for us to think that there's people rocking around college campuses with the Be Kind logo on, and college can be tough for people as well. That transition from school where you have so much structure and so much certainty, and then you went to college and it can be a bit all over the place. And to think that people are wearing the Be Kind brand is really, really cool. So yeah, just get the name out as much as possible. More initiatives, and we're talking about potentially going into primary schools in the new year and doing kindness workshops with kids. Might sound a bit cheesy, but we want kindness to be cool in classrooms. So we want kids sort of getting excited about being kind to one another, making life a little bit easier for one another, looking after their friends and so all that kind of stuff. I think that will be really exciting in the new year, getting into classrooms and try and sell as many products as possible so that we can continue to invest in things like Christmas toy drives or Be Kind 5Ks to raise money for charities around the country and things. And most importantly, get people thinking about, how can we make a difference to my neighbour or to the stranger that I walk by every day of the week, make life a little bit easier for us all, So lots of plans.
What's your similar plan for yourself, Aga, is it?
Be kind, is it?
Just in general, like
Yeah.
future.
What's your 5-year plan?
My 5-year plan, wow. It's a tough question. Like everything that Eric said, like we'd love the business obviously to progress and get bigger, more well known. We also want to look at shipping to the UK and Europe as well. So that's something that is on the agenda in the near future, I would say. Just figuring out logistics at the moment. And yeah, I suppose we just want to make the brand more visible, but also just the message of kindness. It's such a simple message when you really break it down. When you think about it, it's quite simple. Like Eric said before, it's asking how someone else's day is going and actually listening. And because like he said as well, you never know when you may be the one that actually needs to be on the receiving end.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely we just want to make kindness more visible.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I just got an idea there, the way, Eric, you were saying you like going to Cork City matches because the pro feel you could promote that among the casuals. Be kind when they're
We'll cause a riot there in the shed some night. We'll all be in the Be Kind hoodies.
Yeah, that could be their new brand instead of Stone Island, like Be Kind Apparel. Yeah, we'll see what that catches on. So Eric and Aga, I just want to thank you again for coming on the show this afternoon, and I wish you every success to your business in the future, starting 2023. And your message does deserve to get out there, and hope people support. And off the back of this, we'll check out your site and take advantage of the quality merchandise that's on offer.
Yeah, thanks so much, Padraig, for having us. We're big fans of the Parlay with Padraig, and we'll be following everything you do. But we appreciate the opportunity. It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
But you never know, you might come on in the near future as well at some stage. We'll keep in touch, and you're always welcome by the fireside here anyway. My back is a bit sore at the minute. So thanks again, Eric and Aga. Thanks you guys for tuning in. If you like, subscribe and click the notifications bell so you don't miss any future videos and updates. Please check out my blog and channel, Pitch Spotting with Padraig. Check out the guys' website, Be Kind Apparel. And if you fancy buying me a coffee, even though I prefer tea, the link is in the video description there as well. So thank you once again for joining us on the Parlay with Padraig podcast. We'll see you next time. Good night. God bless.